Hey, my name is Robert Newman. I am going to be walking you through Sierra Interactive. Sierra Interactive, in my opinion, is one of the top 10 companies making real estate websites in the US today. And we have access to a back end. In other words, I have access to a user license, and I'm really going to do a deep dive into how these websites actually work. Okay? What we're going to be covering, and for those of you who are really doing some deep comparison shopping, grab your piece of paper and your pen right now. Here's what we're going to be walking through. We're going to be walking through managing leads, which is a lot of different things with Sierra Interactive. They have a lot of features like adding leads, call action integration, lead routing action plans, market updates, lead pawns, and lead tags. And then we're also going to be talking about the general features of each one of these websites, including global settings, how they identify lead sources, integrations, agent accountability, listing details pages, contact templates, the way that listings appear on the website, managing redirects, so the SEO features, and the lead import-export features for the website. All right. So for those of you who've tuned into my reviews before, we're going to start off with some stuff that I always cover. So you may not be familiar with the way that I do reviews, but I am a 13-year veteran of the real estate marketing industry. I'm a lifelong technologist, a lifelong salesperson. This is the InboundREM is my 7th entrepreneurial effort, what would be called my second startup by today's standards. And every time I start talking about these companies, I kind of like to look at who is actually owning these companies. What is their viewpoint on the marketplace? What is their skill and expertise? Like, I'm an inbound marketer, a real estate SEO guy, focus on content and messaging. The guy that owns this company, his background is a programmer. And it really, really shows. I dug deep. There's not a lot of information available on Ben, but through his recommendations to others, through comments that people have made on the Sierra Interactive website, through a dev site that he accidentally forgot to take down from literally 11 years ago, I've managed to learn the following. So Ben used to be a contractor in the real estate space. So he was just like the guys at Sync. He had been hired to do some work in the real estate field, and I imagine, like I and so many other people, he looked at what was out there and said, wow, there's not a lot of really great offerings for people using these products. I could probably build something better. And build something better he did. He formed Sierra Interactive. And the reason that these sites are, like, you can tell if you're a technologist that these sites are built by a programmer is number one, the look and the feel of these sites is very organized. Okay. Number two, he's using a lot of like his skill set, which is in these types of specialties, server specialties, Windows Server. So all from the server, the AJAX to JavaScript. I know a lot of you don't understand what this means. It just means that these skills would be very handy in creating a web experience that worked fast and well. Okay? Put it simply, his background suggests that he could build something like that if he was motivated and driven. And indeed he has with Sierra Interactive. I'd say the number one, if I had to say right now off the top what the number one thing about Sierra Interactive is it's clean and it's fast. That would be a huge pro. Like if you're just doing pros and cons, this feel for it. I'm going to be using the site that you're looking at as the example site. So as I go from feature to example so that you can see how these features look on a live website, this is the website I'm going to be using. Joe Manna USA is a broker out of Tampa. Tallahassee. And he is he's the dominant player. As a matter of fact, he does a better job at dominating his local market than any other broker that I personally know of. And more importantly, he's a dedicated digital marketer. Last but not least, if you're looking at domain authority, Joe's website is the #1 website on Sierra Interactive. In other words, he's got more domain authority in the eyes of Google's than any other website that Sierra Interactive has. This is a drop-down list. I'm using Ahrefs as a tool. I know that this is going to be, a lot of you, most of you, don't know this tool, don't know what I'm talking about. For about 2% of you, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think you'll appreciate the fact that I used the very best example of a Sierra Interactive website instead of using a lesser example, because they have about, with what they have backlinking to them, Sierra Interactive has maybe 300-400 website examples. I think the key is that Sierra Interactive has 300 or 400 really impressive real estate clients. They're not nearly as impressive on the install size, like how many people actually use them, but real estate agents and brokers like Joe that know what they're doing are using Sierra Interactive, and that says something. All right. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into it. Okay. First and foremost, pricing. Sierra Interactive costs $300 to set up a single user website. A single user website looks like this. It's a single agent. If you're going to use these websites well, you're going to focus on a single territory or condominiums in a certain area, just like this site does. And you can see this is a pretty basic installation. So this would be $300, okay, to set it up. It's going to cost you $399 for 1 to 5 users. So your price per user does not go up based upon the individual user. You just pay a flat rate for $399. In terms of pricing, if you're doing comparison shopping, that makes Sierra Interactive on the high side for monthly access. So here's the way that monthly access charges would work if you're going to tier them out. Sierra Interactive and KV Core and Bold Leads, which could all be considered lead generation systems, are all in the $300 to $399 range. Sync and Boomtown are the $1,000 plus range. Sierra Interactive will get there though if you try to put enough users on the platform. Follow Up Boss starts at $199, even though it's not a website system; it's a backend system. And then you have a couple of sites that are less in terms of cost. That's Easy Agent Pro and Real Geeks. And I'm just sticking to, and Playster. I'm just sticking to the real estate web companies that, in my opinion, are reputable. The websites will work to some degree. And by work, I define working as ROI. Now, there's plenty of real estate websites out there like Luxury Presence, where you're going to buy a website and it's not necessarily going to generate you leads. It can, for sure, but it's going to be relying on branding. Sites like this rely upon functionality and effectiveness for the most part. I'll get into that later. All right? But for the moment, this is what you get. 2,500 text messages, 2,500 dialer minutes, 500 ringless voicemails, ad management, and support. Okay? That all comes for your $399 a month. All right? And then over here on the high side, let's say that you're a small team or you're a broker, they're going to charge you $8,995 to set it up. Still $399 a month. You are going to pay the fee, the additional fee, is you're not getting a template. You can customize, like Joe customized, like this site customized. Okay, he probably dictated to them how he wanted the site laid out, how he wanted the properties laid out, how he wanted the interior pages laid out. That's custom. That's customizing the design. He customized the IDX, which is exactly what it says. It's pretty specific with you. Custom IDX website means that they're really going to customize these search templates page by page. Okay, IDX just basically stands for search. It actually stands for Information Data Exchange, but the way that that is defined inside the real estate industry is kind of like, how are these pages going to present listings to people? They're going to dictate to you for the $300 a month. You're not going to have a choice. It's going to be dictated here. Now, here's the funny thing. You can customize these yourself on the back end of the site. And that is what this particular person did. He spent a lot of additional money, not with Sierra Interactive, to customize the information and presentation of his site. So somebody got in here and managed the Sierra Interactive platform for him, which leads us to the hidden tier of pricing that you won't hear most people talking about. At the higher levels, You can integrate call integration features in here. If you're a big team, please hold tight in terms of this review, because I'll be covering a big additional cost center, but also a big additional functionality center that Sierra Interactive can actually do. For those of you that are more on the small team to individual agent size, your pricing is going to be like, you're going to have to hire somebody to do SEO. These platforms come set up reasonably well, but you shouldn't expect that just a Sierra Interactive website by itself is going to give you any kind of SEO performance, because in my experience and my research, the answer to that is no, it won't. It might give you limited results, but if you wanted to actually get results that you might be able to make an ROI off of, chances are strong that you're going to either have to learn how to do it yourself in terms of real estate SEO, hire somebody to do it for you. Well, those are the choices. Sierra Interactive will coach you, and that's the reason I've stayed on the pricing page, is that they'll coach you for $200 a month. They have an additional add-in that's not in here that is $200 a month, and then they will assign somebody that will teach you how to use the higher end of the functionality that I'm about ready to show you. All right, so here we go. First and foremost, when you log into your brand new Sierra Interactive website, this is definitely probably out of a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to rate this feature at an 8, because they've done this much better than almost anybody that's out there. Better than Real Estate Webmasters, better than Sync, better than everybody but probably Boomtown. And here's what they've done. You log in and you've got a knowledge base, okay, right over here. You can see it on the screen right up here. And this is the knowledge base. All right, I've used it to answer some questions a couple times. It's simple, straightforward, and it's got video. It makes it real easy. It answers most of your basic questions, such as how to set up calls, how to set up email campaigns, how to set up lead routing, how to add your phone number so that you can make outbound calls and get those 2,500 minutes that we just looked at on the pricing scale. So you can use Sierra Interactive as an outbound dialer, and so can your agents and employees, though obviously at the level of 1 to 5 users, the minutes and the numbers that they give you are very low. Like when you start saying it's one person, more than enough. There's no worries about overages. But if you, because I don't use stuff for over 2,000 minutes a month. But these guys, if you have 3 team members and you're all fairly active, you'll run out of minutes, and then you'll probably have to get into adding in an additional service. And the additional service that they've advertised here, call action, is somewhat pricey. So just be aware of that as you're looking at the system. So we're just going to jump into what you see when you log into the dashboard. So over here on what would be my right, your left, you've got global settings, account contact info, managed lead sources, reporting by lead source, integrations, all the things that I basically covered in my notes here when we got the review started. So just jumping into global site settings. And what I'm going to do is I go through each one of these features is I'm going to do my best. So I've looked at many of these systems, like you're listening to me list off other real estate systems. Many of these systems I'm listing off will probably be new to you. You may not have even heard of them. But after doing this for 13 years and owning my own, real estate technology company, the way that I got into doing these really deep dive reviews is I always wanted to know what my competitors were doing when I was selling these services for other people a long time ago. And then when I started my own company, I wanted to see what they were doing to understand what I was competing against as a technology founder, startup. And now I just do it because as I started to publish these reviews, I realized that most of you, it's taken me 60, 70, 80 hours to look at each one of these systems and really go through each one of these functionalities. Who has the time? I mean, really. So I'm going to try to give you a comparison, and the scale that I'm using is the best I've ever seen. That's 10 or 8 or 9 or whatever. And then not that great. And I'm comparing against all these other systems. I understand what the technology is that's out there. It's just an opinion. Take it or leave it. If you've watched other of my reviews, I'm sure that you're going to decide whether I know what I'm talking about or not. So global settings. The cool function here in global settings, and I'll have blurred out the end user's information, so forgive that. But you've got a whole bunch of stuff to allow agents to, can they export their leads? Can lenders call leads? Can lenders see leads? That's what you have out here, and it's a very robust list. Okay, it's pretty much everything you could think of in terms of how does somebody access their information. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this an 8 or a 9. Okay, maybe 8.5. This is really good in terms of currently working with one of our agents. Like, you're getting these displays, like registration displays. Are you currently working with an agent? That's an option here. Social registration settings. Display request for user phone number upon successful social registration. So that's a really clever way to capture somebody's phone number inside the registration process. A lot of the top marketing companies are currently using that as a registration feature. Phone number requirement. You can restrict site visitors to enter phone numbers in 10-digit US Canada format only. I like that because occasionally if you start to rank well for SEO, you will get people from Russia and other countries, Zimbabwe, trying to set appointments with you, and obviously they're not going to be impacting the business that you're doing locally. And then you've got global site meta tags, which is more of like an SEO measure factor. It's not as big as important of a one as it used to be, but anyway, it's cool that they've got it. Like, it's better to have it than not, and they've got it. Okay. I skipped over account contact info. That's obviously pretty basic. I went to manage lead sources. And I'm ending the review. I have a video index down here in this YouTube video, and you can just go down there and, look at what part of this review you want to get to. Like I said, this is going to be a long one. This is just where your lead's coming from. But here's the thing. It's a manual process to enter it in, and I think you have to designate. I think that the system tries to tag the lead, and then you put it into a bucket. Okay, and this is all the buckets that you can possibly be getting leads from. The fact that they have a filtration system and that there are buckets at all makes this a really cool feature in comparison to other companies that have the feature, which actually is not, like, you can set up filters and features in a lot of systems, but not all of them. Not all of them are designed or set up this way. I don't think that Bold Leads has a lead source feature. They probably are adding it in, so that could be something that they've done. But even if they do, the system that has the most robust lead source filter that I've seen is Follow Up Boss. And Follow Up Boss has a really cool way of identifying itself where the leads are coming from, which makes it super cool and a lot less effort than something like this. So while I am giving this a very high score for having it in the first place, it's not as intuitive as some tools that are out there, and it's way better than others. So this is one of those things where if you're a big broker or you're a big team and you're looking at Sierra Interactive, that's the moment that you have to dig deep into how does your CRM handle lead source filtration. All right. And the best ones that I know of, top of the list, is Follow Up Boss. I think that Follow Up Boss, if I had to guess, but it's a narrow guess, is even better than Boomtown in that category in lead source filtration. So it just depends on how important that is to you. If you're following like a really amazing coach's advice, like Michael Hollenbeck, and you're sitting here going, I have 35 lead sources, referrals and 9 different digital resources, at that point, Sierra Interactive might be a little time consuming or weak for you. But everybody else, all the smaller teams, this is going to be a great tool. Now, here's where I did not do all the digging that I probably should have. So my commentaries need to be taken lightly. All right. They have a lead source reporting system. What closed, where it sure does look like it's manual. It's possible that Sierra Interactive, being a programmer's tool, has a way to connect into your MLS so that it automatically sees sold data and then connects that into the CRM and automatically logs it. It's possible that this user hasn't set that up. But if it's a manual tool, then this is a pain in the ass. If there's a way to automate the tool, then you simply need to automate it and get to the point where the data is recorded here, at which point I would say that this is an amazing tool, because you've got all this information, so there's a number of categories that you are going to be at, okay? And again, I like Michael Hollenbeck because he's like this insanely talented team coach. Coaches like 80% of the top teams in the country. And he'll tell you that you're at different stages in your career. There's like 7 tiers. There's the part-time tier, which is like you're making from 0 to 60,000. Then there's tier 2, which is you're making 60 to 120,000. There's tier 3 when you're making 120 to 240,000. There's tier 4 when you're making 240 to 500,000. There's tier 5 when you're making 500,000 to 1.5 or 2 million. There's tier 6 when you're making 2 to 4 million. There's tier 7, which only a handful of agents are in, which are making $6 million plus per year. And here's, or something like that. I didn't get it exactly right, but there's tiers. Roughly though, this is for a tier 2 or tier 2 or above kind of agent or team. Like anybody that's below that, you just don't care. You shouldn't be skip past this part of the review. You just don't care. This isn't for you. It will be at some point, but the second you start saying I have an ad spend of $30 to $60,000 a year, or 100,000, or 200,000, or 2 million, guess what? You damn well need to know where your sales are coming from. You have to, in order to justify your ad spend. And to be honest with you, if you're spending 10 grand, you should know where your sales are coming from. And then a tool like this becomes paramount. Who has tools like this? Really, in terms of sales source, once again, like I don't recall seeing it in Sync, and I don't recall seeing it in KV Core. And it's not to say that they don't have a way to track sales. It is to say that they don't have your solid set up data sheet right here and available for you to use. I'm pretty sure that Sync, which is another programmer's tool and is really advanced, probably has it someplace. I don't recollect in the review that I did of them exactly where that is. But so it's possible that they don't have it. You've got something like Follow Up Boss, which is, to my recollection, is the best of the best in this category. Follow Up Boss really does do just as good of a job, if not better, than 90% of the systems out there. I work with Follow Up Boss. I know Follow Up Boss really well. I'll be doing another review on Follow Up Boss. I realized that I end up talking about them way too much not to do a review, because this is what I use as my advanced CRM system, and this is what Ylopo uses. You've got a lot of real estate lead generation people that wildly advocate for Follow Up Boss, because they've basically created as good of a system as you're going to find, and we don't have to build it ourselves. So why not just import our leads in there and call it a day? I'm going to have to blur this stuff out here on the right-hand side, but just trust me when I tell you there's a lot of deals here. There's 6 deals on the buyer's side, and there's 10 deals on the seller's side, and all the revenue and individual commissions and all that different stuff attached to it. And the only thing that I don't like in this is that it isn't quite as clear about lead source. You can add it, and you should add it, but it's not necessarily the same kind of thing that Sierra Interactive has. So in both systems, I think they're kind of incomplete in terms of the reporting system. But both will get you to where you need to be in terms of tracking. I think that this, in terms of a spreadsheet and appearance, is a cleaner look and easier to get to the data. The only question is can you automate it? Because if the answer is no, it's not that great. All right, moving on. Integrations. Awesome! Scale of 1 to 10. This is a 9. Easy. Look at all these integrations. CR Interactive, one of the best, if not the best system out there for integrations. All the popular CRMs, you can see Follow-Up Bosses here, BombBomb, Facebook. These are basically lead sources, or it's treating them like lead sources. Direct API means that there are more data fields. It's better. Okay, there's more data that gets transferred between systems. So saying that you have a direct API from lead ads or Google Analytics is a very, very good thing. And the reason that you transfer information from different CRMs is because you probably are going to end up setting a single CRM up that's going to have all your drip stuff connected to it. And just trust me when I tell you this. The reason that all of you are sitting out there and you're watching this review is that I know and you know that when you think about a drip, you just want to go head desk, because there's so much work in getting a good drip set up. And every company that advertises that they have a done for you funnel, yeah, it's done for you, and maybe it works, but at a very low rate of effectiveness, especially in today's market here in 2020. And I'll cover a little bit of that in my closing thoughts about CR Interactive. Okay. So integrations, huge. I'm saying 9, maybe even 10. Agent accountability dashboard, rudimentary in comparison to top-notch systems. Follow-Up Boss, Sync, and Boomtown, really. KV Core has agent accountability stuff too, and they're pretty good as well. I've done a full review on KV Core. I've done a full review on Sync, and I strongly suggest that you dig into those to see what I thought about those platforms. And in both cases, I had licenses, so you're just going to log in and see all the same stuff that I'm showing you right now. So it's definitely, you can make your own opinion, but I don't think it's as good. So I'm going to give this a 6, okay? And Boomtown was probably the industry standard at a 10. So if you've got access to Boomtown and you understand what their agent accountability, their lead stuff in terms of agent and team looks like, then you'll know what I'm measuring against. All right, moving on. Similar listing criteria, I'm going to skip that as well as contact. So these 3 I'm skipping. Details page and meta tags. Well, I'll click through them really fast. It's SEO stuff, okay, that go into your listing details pages. If any of you are SEO people and you're looking at this, so here's what's exciting about CR Interactive. They've got a custom information data exchange feed with all of the MLSs, all right? Probably not all of them, but a lot of them. And what that means is they take the data and they put it on their websites, and it appears as original listing information. This is one of the reasons that their websites do well for SEO when you optimize them or make sure that you've got a site that looks like Joe's, okay, with all these communities and other menus that is just giving Google a ton of data on the page, plus with the listing information. The number one thing that Google is looking at in terms of SEO these days is user behavior. So if you create a page that's easy to navigate, you're getting a lot of clicks, and you're going from place to place, sites like this are going to do very well in SEO. But it has to be easy to use. Has to be you got to do one of 2 things. Either you have to provide a really engaging, unique experience, which these are not, but, well, actually, let me rephrase. They're not unique. They are engaging, okay? So, and you've got 48 listed. So similar properties this feature is, can you put somewhere on here, there's going to be a recommendation. And Joe, like I said, he's one of the better guys at SEO. So a lot of these pages that you're looking at do rank on Google. Like he is number 1 for Killeen Estates. You're looking at a page that comes up first when you do searches. So you're looking, but he's built a lot of this functionality into this CR Interactive page. Like you look at this site and go to, and this also has an SEO guy who's worked on it. But you can see that there's not as much original content. There's just other similar condominium buildings, real thin content on the top, but the menus on the side, so on and so forth. All right, but so this just is SEO stuff, which SEO guys will be excited about. I've done in managed contact templates. I created a couple test templates in here. just to see how the functionality worked. And so I'm going to get into this in a little bit with custom emails, but this has to do with custom emails and custom email templates and stuff like that. So I'm going to skip over it. Similar listing criteria. I've already explained that, shown it to you. You just throw up leads, autoresponders. This is stuff that when you're in the contact side, you can have automatic responses like IDX registration form, schedule showing request, and you just send it out. One click. You got to drop down, bang, send it out. Developing these auto assigners and how you use them inside the system, definitely like an 8 or a 9. Beautiful functionality, easy to use, takes you a few minutes to figure it out. No problem. Love it. 301 redirect tool, strong SEO tool. Excellent that they've got it. Not going to get into it too much. If you're an SEO guy, you'll be excited to see that they've got it. Featured news. Okay. So this is something Sierra Interactive gets a 10 in this category. So this is April 16th, which is today. Okay. I did the review. You now know when I did it, April 16th. And guess what? They changed a feature in their site, and you're probably not going to be able to see it so small on the screen, but they added a widget that says you can do a video chat tour as part of their system. Okay? Trust me, as a guy that knows technology better than most people, that means that Sierra Interactive had their development team hop on a system-wide development update probably as soon as COVID-19 started to happen. And then they developed it into the entire application, rolled it out across all of their sites, and brought it to market in 30 days or 33 days. Just believe me when I tell you that is impressive. That means some people there have been working very, very late and trying to get this done for their end users. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. And like I said, this is the best reactive everything that I've seen from a company. So 10, 10, 10. So that there's, and we're going to say 10 in the responsiveness customer service field. When you look for Sierra Interactive reviews, they get about a 70 to 80% review rate, which is incredible for real estate technology, especially like the kind that they're building. They're building kind of a templated, automated, like non-custom experience for the most part. So getting agents and everybody to agree that they like the product, that kind of means that they're using it correctly, and getting agents to use stuff correctly is really difficult. So Real Geeks and Sierra Interactive both are rated pretty highly in this category because at least they try to build a tool that you can use. They make a big effort, and a lot of people don't inside the real estate marketing industry. So kudos to them. That's lead import and lead export. Guys, just works the same way as everything else. Now, I'm wrapping up the review with the biggest section of the website. So for those of you who are keeping track, do me a favor. Once again, section off a piece of your piece of paper, whatever you've been taking notes on, and let's talk about leads. Okay, managing leads. This is the number one thing the system does. This is the number one thing that people are going to be curious about. Like I said, there was a video index, so if you were wanting to see this, the leads dashboard. Now, I have set my own user up. Oh, shit. No, I didn't. So now I got to blow this out so that I couldn't see this. But I'm gonna stop it right now. Oh, well. I'm just going to have to blur it out. All right, so just trust me when I tell you that what we've got below us is a view. You get to color code the views. Almost all the lead systems look somewhat similar to this. When you add this plus button, you get tags, emails, log calls, now, Sierra Interactive has some cool features here. These filters are automated. So you just click one. And honestly, like, Sierra Interactive looks to have pretty much copied Follow Up Boss. Follow Up Boss has these filters on top, the same thing pretty much. Okay, and I'm sure that there's a way to adapt these filters, but you can see the similarity between systems, except that Follow Up Boss focuses on lead sources, and Sierra Interactive focuses on what's happened with the lead itself. Now, in both cases, you can edit the smart filters. So you could create like a different experience inside Sierra Interactive if you wanted. You could create a different experience inside Follow Up Boss if you wanted. These users, based on who the user is, this is an individual agent using this platform. The Follow Up Boss account that I'm using as a demo is a team, a small team. And so small teams obviously going to be focused more on different lead sources. And in this particular case, I know the small team and they're very proactive. So nobody's really worried about, are these leads getting called? Are they not getting called? From a higher level of responsibility, accountability, you probably do want a system where you can log in and look at all the agents and just very quickly have an overview of, are these leads being contacted? And the answer is yes or no. In terms of the data points that's available on the lead that is connected, now this is the one thing that Sierra Interactive has that once again beats. So you're looking at two different options. Like in the world of real estate lead generation, when you build a custom real estate website, what you lose out on is basically this. Yeah, I'm going to blank out the customer data, but you're going to have these 17 saved, 855 views. You can click on it and get all the saved properties, which is pretty damn cool. Okay, you can get information on the history of what that person has viewed, all the way down 100. At the point where somebody's doing 600-700 views or 18 views, it's not likely that that data is going to yield any value to you, but it does let you know when somebody's logging in, how many times they use the system, so on and so forth. In terms of usability on the search side, which is what this is demonstrating, Sierra Interactive isn't just good, they're the best. All right, for a search site. They're better than Real Estate Webmasters, better than me, they're better than everybody. Now, let's talk about what that yields, though. Is this agent getting the calls to from these leads? The answer is no. The conversion rate, that's person to visit on the lead to the website. This is a Sierra Interactive site that has been SEO'd, and it's got about 2,000-3,000 people coming into it, and they convert about 1.5%. The difference is on Joe's site, and this may not be true now, but for a little while he was kind enough to share his marketing data with me, and for a very long time, all the times that they were tracking, and he tracks lead sources and who's closing and where it's coming from, every single detail he knows. And the number one source for at least, I think, 2017 through 2018 and a half was SEO. But the big difference between these two sites is that Joe makes this map. Look at this. He puts video, he puts charts, he puts graphs, he puts him on here. He brands the site. In terms of lead management and understanding this feature and functionality, listen, you're going to have to go the extra mile to actually get the use out of what you're looking at. Like if you're going to think that you can just set this site up and then get amazing lead generation or ROI, I don't think that the answer is that's true anymore in 2020. I think that the bar has raised tremendously in terms of what people expect. And unfortunately, experiences like this are commoditized. So when you're looking at this, I think that this is the best that you're going to see in terms of usage. Like people use these websites to really do searches. And if you're looking for a search-based site and you think you can add the tweaks to the site to get you an ROI, and ROI is important to you, then this is the site. If you don't care about ROI, but you do care about your clients searching properties and you don't mind spending a little money, extra money, for them to get the best search experience, then once again, this is the platform. Adding leads is just simplistic. I'm not going to get into it. Account lead routing. You can do round robin, buyer catch-all. You can see here what the options are. Like, there's quite a few different options. Okay. The most interesting thing about this system in terms of lead management is lead ponds. You can also just dictate all the leads are going to go into a central place, and anybody that gets to them first gets a chance to work the lead. And then you get to see agent activity as it's associated with the lead pond. So let's just say you do use a lead pond. You get to see what agents are in here and how proactive they're going to be, because it's possible that an agent might just get in here to try to claim a lead, email a lead, text a lead, but then not work it. So this will give you some kind of, if you force your agents to work this with this tool, you'll have some kind of reporting, which is good. There's a lot of systems out there that don't do that. Like Bold Leads is not the best on the team side. They're great on the lead generation side. You get a lot of numbers with them, and the leads will be well managed. But from the team side, they're weak. So CR Interactive is kind of in the middle in terms of all that stuff. They're not really strong on the team side. They're very. If you had a small team, like 1 to 3 people, I could see CR Interactive maybe being a really appealing option. At the larger team level, if you knew what was out there, I don't know and how much it would cost, because the more people you add, the more expensive it gets. So at the point that you're spending $600 to $1,000 a month anyway, there's other systems that you could get for $1,200 or $1,300. The price difference lowers the higher up the tiers that you go. And that's the deceptive part about systems like this. You oftentimes buy them when you're small and then grow and discover that you got to migrate out of the tool, which is pretty common. Not one tool, not one size fits all. But you might be that rare person that understands damn well that you're going to build a team out. And if so, you might want to start with a different system right out of the box. These right here is managed lead tags. It's an awesome feature for really advanced users of CRMs. I'm not going to get much into it, just merely say it's an awesome feature. I give it a 9 or a 10. It just allows us to clearly identify what kind of lead is there, which would be really handy if you could train your salespeople to use it. As a guy that's managed sales forces for 30 years, it's not that it can't be done. I just know it's going to take a very strong management sales resource to make this feature work. So while I give it a high mark, just understand I doubt that very many users are actually using it. Drip campaigns, market updates. So it took me a second to do it, but this is one of the things that you get charged extra money for, is to set these things up. So this is creating a new drip campaign. It's not that difficult, but then again, a lot of people aren't used to stuff like this. So actually, I'm going to go into the one I created. I created it for just this purpose. So just go here. So you can see that I just did this. And I also created an email template. Okay, it took me about 20-30 minutes. I think a novice user, it's going to take this system, it's going to take them about a couple hours at least. Okay, and we can keep selecting templates and then create a drip campaign. We can also create an entire campaign and then plug it in automatically. All right. In terms of automation and funnel ability, the system definitely follows. It's not that you can't do it. You can. It's just in terms of how intuitive it is and how much they focus on it. I don't know that I feel that they're equivalent. They've got action plans. Now, an action plan is the same thing, and Follow Up Boss has action plans. And I think that CR Interactive, either Follow Up Boss is copying CR Interactive or CR Interactive is copying Follow Up Boss. I do believe which it is, I don't know, because CR Interactive has been around since 2009. So it could have been looking at Follow Up Boss for quite a while, and Follow Up Boss has been around since about the same time. So this is just, you could set this up for your salespeople. An example of an action plan, because there's none filled out on the system that we're looking at. So when you go to admin and you go to action plans, this is Follow Up Boss. We're not in CR Interactive right now. This is what it looks like though. You could just insist. It's a good training tool. Like, you just tell your people to do this, and it's just something that says do this, and you can automatically propagate these tasks into a calendar, and then they get checked off. call, leave a voicemail. An action plan and an automated follow-up are two different things. Automated means that the system does it for you. It emails at a particular time, texts at a particular time, so on and so forth. That long pause represented 30 plus minutes of me doing some quick research. It does not look like Sierra Interactive automates. They have drip campaigns, yes. But if you wanted a system that texted and emailed simultaneously and created something that felt and looked like an actual funnel, your choices for doing that are very limited. You don't have a ton of service, and all the language that these providers use is super confusing. I don't even know it. I have to get in here and actually go through these platforms individually to discover what they can and cannot do. So Follow Up Boss has real, legitimate automated funnels. The best system out there that I've seen that does funnels is Bold Leads, where you can get all these different actions, like all the way out, like for a year, and the system is sending those emails, sending those text messages. You don't do anything. It's just working in the background, and if the client ever emails you in, it goes into your inbox, and now you just know you have a lead, which for you will appear as if by magic. And that is essentially what you want. Like, if you're going to bother to invest in a back-end piece of technology in today's world, you really want something that's combining automation with manual efficiency. That's where you can also call leads. Now, on the manual efficiency part, Sierra gets high marks. You can call, leave notes, do all that stuff. On the automated, they get low marks. Very low marks. So, and it took me a long time to figure this information out, and that's never something that I truly appreciate. So, I'm going to wrap up we've got these things here, these features, and I'm just going to run through them because this has been a very long review. So market updates. This is a very cool feature, and I'm going to give market updates a 7. Okay, all it just means is that you get automated functionality with Sierra Interactive. So in essence, you get a very templated review. This is what it looks like. You can designate property type. Are you going to send emails from the marketplace? What the location of the subdivision is, and this auto-populates when you change this designation in here. And then what you're doing is you're sending them actual properties. So you just get to customize your property drip. But that's cool. I give customizing your property drip as opposed to market updates. I give that a 9, okay, in terms of features and functionality. It's a super cool feature of their IDX. Is it really going to get you that many views? No, because it's not a high quality experience. So many other systems are doing this to say that, oh, I send out custom updates to your, like, I don't know that I believe that if you sent these out 10,000 times that you'd get even a single sale. Like, I'm not sure that I feel like, but in terms of feeling like it's part of an overall branding message, oh God, yeah. Like, to say that you and your team are on top of it, then these guys definitely have given you a tool. And it never is a bad idea to stay in front of somebody, though I think that people really, truly miss the point of what staying in front of somebody is supposed to look like. Because if all you're doing is sending something that somebody doesn't care about, you become an annoyance. Not, oh, I'm staying in front of this person. Just because they've forgotten to delete you out of their spam folder or their segmented Gmail inbox does not mean that you're in front of your prospect. So every once in a while, you're going to have to cycle in some high-value content that they actually want to open and read if you want to pretend that you've got a marketing system that has value. E-alerts. I should have showed this a long time ago. This is an e-alert, which you have to kind of get in here, suggest some custom properties. You can email, call. This is what the contact record looks like. It's a cleaner contact record, but with a lot less fields or functionality. It's extremely limited. But that's fine. like as a programmer who's building something, like you can automatically send emails. This shows you what the activity is, and it's action plan activity. So you can attach an action plan here. Properties, searches. My overall thought about this system is it's very manual. And in my experience, like having a real estate, and you know your team better than I do, but feeling like you're going to get value and productivity out of these things, I don't know about that. I think that in many cases, like I think single agents who've done a very good job at marketing themselves are going to find that CR Interactive is probably a great tool. But I think that teams and things are going to quickly discover that there's limitations to the system and move on to other things. But I'll cover that more in depth in my summary. Saved searches is something for you to create on the website itself. So most likely you've got somebody creating this for you. It's such as condominium buildings and neighborhoods and things like that. To save searches that you then install. Whoops, on the website I don't want this to appear, so I'm going to close that out. Listings, featured listings go on the home page. That's going to be like what Joe has on his homepage. Down here, these are featured listings. He calls them our best buys. Okay, but there they are. It's what you decide it on the back end of the site. Same thing with content pages, testimonials. So Joe has probably done the best job I've ever seen in content pages. The WYSIWYG, the way that you create content on these sites, is extremely antiquated. It's not a great method of entering content. I will show you. So you dictate what kind of page it is, whether or not it's agent or team. You're going to have to get a little bit used to. Do you want to hide the header navigation, hide the footer navigation? You choose the title, meta tags, meta keywords, meta description, page defaults, and then you enter in the content. But you have to enter in a page title. Oh, all right. Let's just do this. Test. So there. Then you got to choose the section of the site. We'll just do sell. And sometime in here you get access to the WYSIWYG, which looks like an old MS Word doc, but 5 iterations of Word doc ago. I am not going to save this. I'm going to cancel out of it. I am going to open up one page and show you what an active page looks like. Okay, so you can see the WYSIWYG. See what I mean? There you go. Okay, that's what it looks like. Basically, you're limited. You can put videos and tours and things like that, all of which Joe has done on his site. Once again, if you want to see a site that's really probably doing as much as you can do with one of these websites, you probably want to look at Joe, because I have no doubt that he's taken the time and the energy to try to learn how to use this site. He would be like an expert level master user in most of the platforms that he's gonna own. And so here you go. All right. Okay, so I think that we're at the tail end of this here. Let's go back up. Let's look under. We covered all this. The blog, same thing. You've got the same WYSIWYG, the same data entry points. I'm not going to bother to show it in users, so I think that we're officially at the end. I'm going to skip over to here because I'm going to have to blur out so many things in this review. And it's going to take a long time. It takes a long time to edit and get this all to a place where I can actually post it. So here's my summarizing thoughts. So we've gone through every single feature except for one. At the higher level, you can integrate an all-in-one automated lead engagement platform called Call Action. Okay, when I was looking at the integrations, it's the only thing that really jumped out at me as like a little bit unusual. And when you reach Joe Mena USA's level, where you might have a lot of inbound calls, lead integration, the lead engagement platform separates out your phone calls by lead source. It can automatically do drip and call and lead management stuff with the phone calls. So having a system in place where somebody is doing something automated in terms of Sierra Interactive is probably a good thing. Where it's only the inbound calls is not a great thing. On an overall 1 to 10 scale for Sierra Interactive as a whole, I'm going to give it a solid 7.58. Its strengths are absolutely in usability. It's 10, every category. It's wildly usable. It's like adaptability is not great. It's 6 or 7. Its uniqueness or ability to provide anything other than a good search experience is extremely limited. Now, I have some commentary, and I don't know like if guys like Joe are experiencing this or not, but my clients, like the client who let me use this platform, has not made a conversion off his Sierra Interactive leads in a really long time. And I think as a whole, the real estate lead generation industry is going through a change right now, where we were before the slowdown 12 years into a boom market. And so everybody and their brother has a real estate website or a lead generation system of some kind, which means that your prospective clients looking for properties are being overwhelmed with automated responses, AI, emails, a million different things. I've heard stories of people being on the phone with leads that they literally called within 5 minutes, and they can hear other salespeople calling the lead because of, and that's not even because that they subscribe to like, oh, we share leads kind of system. It's just the user themselves signs up for more than one thing. They do it really fast because all these things do require registration to search a little bit more, and then that end user gets 6 or 7 or 10 or 15 calls from people, and that's it, man. They're done. They're exhausted. And you never spoke to them. So I do think that in terms of a search-based website, this is as good as you're going to find. Okay, it's great. I have incredibly high marks for it and respect for what the team has developed. In terms of marketing systems that work, I would suggest that a system, once again, that you own, that like it's not a one size fits all when you start talking about lead generation. But if you're looking for the highest quality lead that you can get, this is not going to be the system for you. None of these automated funnel type systems are. People can tell they're automated. They're not idiots. So I don't care how clever the system is or how every once in a while you'll get somebody who sees a prompt while they're doing a search and think it's you. But the second the system starts having a conversation that's back and forth, they will quickly discover that the automated things don't feel like a person, and they'll get very turned off. So it's been what I've heard from consumers. It's what my experience has shown me. So in terms of if you're looking for a good front end system and a back end system, Sierra Interactive is okay. It's a pretty good value for the money. It's definitely better than a Real Geeks. It'll get you better conversion, so it's worth the extra money that you spend. It's not more automated than Real Geeks. I don't know that you're going to get a massively different return on your money between the two systems, which Sierra Interactive will end up being a lot more money. What you'll pay for that extra money is really the look and feel of the site. You'll spend a lot more with Sierra Interactive, though, thousands more on the higher end. So just be aware of that. Like, if you're going to customize this site at all, Sierra Interactive stops being a reasonably priced company. Real Geeks is less expensive by miles if you're going to try to customize the platform in some way or another. And both platforms are extremely difficult to customize. So just understand that. The reviews on Glassdoor and the other things that I read as part of every review it's a great place to work. There only was one bad review, and it was from a developer who felt like he got bait and switched into working there. Everybody else says essentially there's just a lot of work. It's a growing company. LinkedIn has 14 employees associated with Sierra Interactive. My analytics tools tell me that there's 300 or 400 websites connected to Sierra Interactive. So in terms of how many installs they have, they are by far and away one of the smaller companies on my top 10 list. If you've paid attention to the top 10 companies making real estate websites, I've got like 100 installs, and I've only been doing it for 3 or 4 years. So I suspect strongly that these guys take a while to build a project and that they do a good job. And they probably have a long contract to reflect the fact that they're not a mass producer of real estate websites. I don't know that for sure. I'm not just guessing. And that's what I've got. But ultimately, like I said, 7.5 to 8. And I hope you appreciated this review. If you made it this far, or if you skipped ahead to my summary, do me a favor. The review itself is an hour long. It takes a long time. It took me a couple years to find a client willing to give me access to the platform, and it takes a lot of energy and effort. So do me a favor. If you got anything valuable out of the video, give me a thumbs up. And in terms of subscribing, hey, if you think you want to be updated on real estate technology, or you want my viewpoints on things like how to create leads, real estate SEO, these are all things I have a lot of experience in. I talk about a lot on this channel, so go ahead and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Take it easy. Till the next time.